Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 4 of the Hanley podcast. This is the podcast with no limits on what we'll cover unless it's something totally psychotic or not worth covering. I'm your host, Randy. Have a snack, sit back, and relax. This episode was recorded on April 6th, 2019. Yeah, it's Saturday. I'm recording this a little early. So I am pretty excited to announce a few things today. This is the 4th episode now. We've made it pretty far. And I'm going to be doing a giveaway. I'm going to do an Amazon gift card, $50, and that's going to be pretty cool. I also have converted my Instagram page to a business page. I added a contact page to the randyhanley.com website, which will be the proper channel for anyone to write in regarding their comments, inquiries, suggestions, or requests, and even advertising-related items. So the Facebook page we also have launched is called Hanley Podcast. So look for us on there. Be sure to like us and follow us. Whatever's the easiest way for you to follow us and keep in touch and get updates on the latest podcast recordings. Typically, it's going to be near a weekend, but as you can see, it's a day early, and I will be posting this to Facebook as soon as the show finishes recording. So for today's episode, we're going to talk about productivity tips. I'm simply just going to discuss simple productivity tweaks, if you will, that I've tried out that have actually stuck, and I eventually implemented them as good habits. In the first segment, I'll touch on the productivity ideas that really aren't anything new, but just seem to work, such as a good old calendar. In the second segment, I'll cover other productivity tips, such as automating things in your life. So we'll start with notes. Just notes. As easy as a note sounds, start doing it. That's what I found works for me anyway. They don't have to be public notes right in your face. It could be like a sticky note, but I feel notes like those can create clutter and discourage myself from reading them later on. But you could kind of meet in the middle and use sticky notes. Then when you have a few seconds free during snack time, of course there's snack time, right? Group a few of those stickies together in a group and snap a photo of them with an app such as Microsoft Office Lens, Scanner Pro, or any app that has optical character recognition capability. That's called OCR, optical character recognition. It's been around for a long time. Adobe, professional versions of Adobe Reader use it to scan your documents and optimize them and make them searchable. It's the same concept. I think using that for, if you want to have a middle ground where you do taking notes on paper and then digitize them, I think that's the best way. Obviously, you could use a scanner like a Fujitsu ScanSnap, I think it's called. You could use something like that and scan all of your papers to PDF, but that's going a little extreme. They're like over $500, I think. Just, your smartphone will do just fine. Which leads me to my next point. Once you snap those notes and upload them, they can be ready, waiting for you in OneNote. Totally searchable, too. An example of where I put this into play is when I was traveling for work a few weeks back. I could snap a photo with the Office Lens app, available on your iPhone or Android device, and those notes appear in my OneNote desktop application. But it's really powerful. The part of that that's really powerful, I would say, is that they're already indexed, meaning they're searchable, which is yet another time saver. So yeah, I was taking notes when I was traveling. I didn't think to pull up my phone. I just wrote something down that somebody was telling me, and I snapped a photo of it. And later on, I was wondering what, other information I had not remembered, and I searched for the keywords that I could remember from that conversation, and the notes came up in OneNote. So that's a big one. That's really powerful. Of course, you're free to use any note-taking app that you want. Some people are going to gravitate towards Evernote, but I still prefer OneNote. I've gone between them all, and something that doesn't rely on the cloud fully, but it has the power of the cloud when you need it, meaning that the notes can save online and send from one device to another. This note-taking app, OneNote, though, can hold basically anything you throw at it, so I'm kind of biased towards it. It can do anything you throw at it, such as copying and pasting an audio file, a file, text, and it makes it searchable. Even the audio. So if you paste audio into it, it indexes the audio. That's incredible. And Microsoft's going to, in the future, rumor has it, roll those features out into other products such as Microsoft Teams, scanning meetings for audio transcriptions, transcribing it to text. If you don't have the paid version of OneNote, don't worry. It's sort of being discontinued anyway and being rolled into the free Windows 10 version that's growing in features anyway. They're kind of moving towards that App Store model. So if you have Windows 10, you likely already have it. If you're on a Mac, no need to worry either. It's in the Mac App Store. And I'll put some links in the show notes just to show you where it's at. And it has almost a perfect rating, by the way. And one last area about OneNote that I would like to cover is templates. I think there's no shame in templates. I'll share a productivity secret with you, and that's OneNote section templates are so powerful. For example, I use them for this podcast. I created a section template, and every time I add a page to that section, my episode template is ready for me to fill out. More like fill in the blanks, and then I have my sketch, my draft for the show. And it saves me a ton of time every week. And even in my daily work, it does. Completely saves me a ton of time. And for the list-hungry people out there, OneNote can also do checklists just fine. So I could honestly do multiple shows on OneNote just to drive home how powerful it is. I'm clearly biased toward it. My additional thoughts on it, though, are if you're going to use a note app other than OneNote, I recommend it's something reputable that you're sure will be around for a long time and isn't cloud only. Because think of cloud only as, a company goes out of business, there's an off switch and you can't use it anymore. Sure, it's not often that your internet connection drops either, but if it does, you can't jot down your notes. Well, you could, and you don't know that they're going to save until your internet comes back. So I recommend something that's fully redundant as well, can save to your machine as well as the cloud. The next item I'd like to touch on is a calendar. And I've begun learning to make sure that I book myself in my own calendar for important items only, of course. If you work in the corporate world, you know how interruptions can add up to the point to where they destroy your productivity for that day. I found that putting some of my tasks into my calendar, that is the must-do tasks, it makes the task much more real and important in that you forced yourself to put aside that time. That one sounds so basic, but I did not start doing that until now. I'm 37. And, I tried the to-do, the to-do apps. It's just too many things in too many places. And the calendar is always there, right? So I'm using a calendar again. Coming up in our next section is automation. Got a few different automation items that I think will help everyone. But first, I want to bring up the contest. So I'm doing a $50 Amazon gift card giveaway. And you don't even have to listen to the podcast to hear the giveaway link. I'm going to post it in the show notes. So basically, it's really easy. You're just going to put in your email address, and I promise to not use that information as subscription information. The subscriptions are voluntary. You have another area to go to. If you like my page, that's up to you. This isn't some trick to get your email address. I'm not going to save it for any other purposes. This is just to enter to win a gift card. So if you haven't seen the link yet, just go to randyhanley.com and you'll see it there as today's post in today's podcast update, and just look for it there. So our next section I'm going to talk about is automation. So let's start with bills and online bill pay. This is the simplest one. And I don't recommend online bill pay for disputable bills, such as like your cable bill going up every few months, because that happens, right? I don't auto pay or try to streamline anything with my cable company. I like to give those ones some of my own attention before I pay them, like threatening to quit so that my bill goes down. I do that a lot. Do you actually remember the days, though, where some of us would have to take a day to sit down and pay bills? Online bill pay is offered by many credit unions and banks. Both my credit union and bank offer it for free. So online bill pay sort of modernizes some of those annoying bill pay processes. For instance, some local city government offices are still in the 1800s, and they will give you a piece of paper to fill out your credit card information so you can mail it out and someone can steal your credit card information. Or they might expect you to walk to the front counter and hand them a check, or just wait a few days for the check you've mailed them to arrive and be processed. All of that back and forth, though, could be automated with your bank online, so no envelopes required. Your financial institution likely already has it, as I just mentioned, so sign up for it. It'll save you money from the ever-rising stamp prices or from paying the credit card processing fee that some places still charge, which is ridiculous in my opinion. I might actually do an entire episode on restocking fees and processing fees and any other made-up money grabs that don't necessarily have to exist. So let me drive this home once more. Automate anything you can. This goes back to where creating a list can be handy. Not for aesthetics, though. This is for practicability. So write a simple list of things you can come up with that you do so often you wonder why you haven't invented some way to automate it. Now, I'm going to give you a couple more ideas to try to help you get you started, though. And I know this isn't necessarily tech-focused, but do the small things now. An example would be opening a bill just to check it out, then setting it on the counter thinking you'll pay it later. Paying a bill might only take a few seconds, so just get it out of the way because that's always something small that could potentially cause a headache later. If it takes 2 minutes or less, just do it and get it out of the way. Procrastination is never going to increase your productivity. So in that example with paying the bill right away, if you wanted to make those all wait until your, bill paying day, you could have, say, 5 of your bills lined up in your online bill pay portal for your financial institution, and then a designated day of the week, you go in, you check each box, and you can bulk pay those bills. Those checks are mailed out to them, and you have no processing fee to pay. It's fast, and there's no room for error because you already have everything pre-populated in there. You're not constantly writing in the address to mail something out, and it's really efficient. And there are tutorials on your financial institution's website. When you log in, they will explain to you how you set up bill pay. Another area I want to touch on for automation is think of autocomplete, but for your computer. So autocomplete, even though most people have only first seen things like this as Microsoft Word or spell check, it's existed before your iPhone or Android device. You could call it text expansion, as a lot of programs refer to that as. But if you're using a computer regularly and doing a lot of repetitive tasks, I highly recommend text expansion. And there are many programs out there depending on what platform you're on. If you're on a Windows machine, actually any platform, I believe AutoHotKey can nearly run on. There's AutoHotKey, but that's pretty much for the geek that really likes to tweak and run and create scripts. Now, I'm not all for spending a lot of time on doing that, so I use one that's a little easier, that's more of a front end for that program. And that program is called FastKeys. And I believe this only runs in Windows. So if you are looking for a similar program on your Mac, if you have that, you could search for Text Expander. And there are many programs for the Mac that do that. But in essence, it allows you to create a keyword or a default phrase that will expand if you type a small amount of characters. So for instance, I have one that's like for my signature, right? If I want to put my signature somewhere besides an email, I could type semicolon SIG, and then it automatically expands to type in my signature. And it's really fast, and it's always running, so I can just use it in my workflow every day. I use it to make templates. I use it to respond to emails. Just stuff as simple as thank you and have a great day is THG. And if I type THG in my keyboard, it will expand to that. I find myself using that phrase a lot, so I don't ever have to type it out, and it's nice. So that's one I highly recommend if you can automate with AutoHotKey. And the one I'm recommending, FastKeys. FastKeys, again, costs money, though. It's $10. AutoHotKey is free, but there's a learning curve. And FastKeys basically has the smallest learning curve, and it does a lot of those tasks for you in the background, such as creating scripts, gestures, macros, shortcuts. It's all built into the tool, and the best $10 I've spent in a long time. Also, I will post the link to the FastKeys program in the show notes, as well as AutoHotKey. Why not? So I hope that these productivity tips that I've shared today are really helpful for you. I think that they could increase your productivity a lot. Just start with implementing a few small things like these, and you'll notice a difference. If you're a new listener, we'd love to hear from you. You can follow this podcast by visiting randyhanley.com/podcast. You can look for Randrums on Twitter. You can also check out our new Facebook page. Just look for Manly Hanley Podcast, and it should come up. You'll see that red logo when it comes up in the search results. Thanks a lot for listening, everyone, and have a great day.